do in writing this book was to not only tell a good story, but try to do something good with this as well. And so I told Darlene, that I want to take a portion of the proceeds from the sales of this book and donate it somewhere in Coach Brown's name. And she picked the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. So I've been talking with her a lot lately because we've been trying to spread the word about this. She's doing a walk at the end of September. I'm going to walk it with her. And, we did a thing the other night at Regina, and she was there, and she had 11 people from her family there. And, they had tears of joy because it really meant a lot to them. It's special. And that was really, I don't know, it's hard to talk with her, because she loved him and I loved him, and it's hard to talk about that subject. But we just tried to live with some of the things he taught us and know that, things happen the way it did, and hopefully through this book we can kind of just keep his memory alive in a way. It's a good question. The thing about just keeping his memory alive, we have people at Regina. My sister's class last year was the last one that he had coached, and so the other night at Regina we were doing this thing, and people would come up and say, "We don't know Coach Brown. We never met him before, but we've heard about him." And I said, "Good. Pick up this book because it will allow you to kind of see what he was about rather than just hear what he was about." But they've been very happy. Yeah.
I've known Matt for how many years? He was one of my favorite students. Came into the library and running magazine in his nose every second of that 1 year, and it's just so wonderful to see, an end product. I mean, that is the teacher's greatest joy when you see somebody like you improving and just being successful.
That is the best question I've gotten all day.
I didn't get to
More of those.
Yes. No, but he is. He's wonderful. The book is wonderful. I've read it a couple times. My two questions, I'll make them real brief. I wondered how you decided on the title, because I'm a real title person. And then, was there one quote above all these 80 in here from him that was actually your driving force?
Yeah, good question.
If you had to pick one.
Yeah. The title, An Honorable Run, it came from Dave Gould, who helped put the story together. There is a letter in here where Coach Wetmore writes it to me kind of halfway through my college career. It's the first and only letter he ever wrote. It was the most deeply personal thing he ever said to me. And in there he said, Matt, you'll know that throughout your time here, because you kind of stand on the spotlight of the Dathans or the Jorges or the Eds, but know that you'll have had an honorable run as anyone who ever wore a Colorado uniform. And that was great to hear from Wetmore, to get this confidence, because I was literally running from year to year wondering if I would be on the team next year. And I was really happy to hear that, but then upon further reflection I thought, well, what defines an honorable run? And that kind of became the whole idea of the story. I mean, an honorable run, obviously it's a story about running, but an honorable journey, and that it came from Wetmore's letter. I kind of like that, and I think I really like the title a lot. Coach Brown's Nothing But Your Best would be mine. It's one that he said a lot, but it's in the whole idea of writing a story. What does it mean to be successful? Does it mean you get an agent and you get a big book deal and it's all over the place? No, I just did the best I could, and that's really kind of just, he said, okay, this is a good story, Matt. It might not, be on Oprah, but it's a good story. Although if it is on Oprah, that'd be nice. But it's a good story, and I can take comfort in that. Yeah.
My kids were privileged to know Coach Brown, and my son graduated with her sister last year. But being knowing English, how would you define your relationship with Coach Brown during high school versus after college?
Coach Brown, here's a quick, unique story. We were close in high school, but close in terms of an athlete coach, so there was still some distance between us. But I went off to college, and this was another trademark of Coach Brown's, that you go off to college and you would come back and you'd see certain people. You'd live with your parents, you'd probably see your grandparents, maybe one or two close friends, and you go see Coach Brown. And that's kind of like everyone who knew him, that was kind of like, that's what they did. And so we would often just, at Christmas time and the summer times, my brothers and I would just drop in unexpectedly at his house. And that was, if it had been coach athlete before, that broke down the walls. We'd sit in his basement and just, just talk about whatever, and now we were like friends, And I think that as I moved away from being his athlete, it became more and more of a, he was my mentor, but at the same time, we saw each other more as equals. Not that I was his equal, but just that I wasn't so much his athlete anymore. I was the guy who knew Coach Brown, and he was the guy who knew me, and we could talk about whatever we were going to talk about. So it's something that definitely matured the farther I got away from him. Is there a hand over here? Yeah.
Two really quick ones. Are you still running, and if so, how much? And I said, actually, that's 2 in 1. And then, have you considered any time doing any coaching yourself?
Yeah, good questions. I still run. It's something that I've done for, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. And I still run about 10 miles a day. I live in New York City, and I just do loops around Central Park every morning. I just run circles. They're like, who's that guy? I think the crazy guy from Iowa runs circles all the time. And then writing this book, and through this book, I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people in the coaching community. There was a great coach from York High School. His name's Joe Newton. He's coached for 50 years. I think he's won 26 Illinois State Championships, 20 national championships, and I sent him a copy of this book. And he called me a few days later. It was an honor just to get his phone call. And we had about a 20-minute conversation. He said, Matt, thank you so much for sending me the story. It's kind of everything that's good about being a coach. And I'm so glad that you put me in the same category as Coach Brown. And that is kind of what I've thought about lately as I've talked to more coaches, that there's a lot of good that comes from coaching. It's a very rewarding experience for the coach, but also for the athletes. And yeah, that's something that maybe not right now. It's hard to find running programs in New York City, but perhaps when I leave one day, I will definitely like to do something, at least mentor young people. Even if it's not coaching, then hopefully I'm a writer now and do stuff like that, so hopefully it's mentoring young people, cultivating young talent, and helping them along as they kind of wade through the New York City publishing world. Yeah?
Do you have a desire to write another book?
Yeah.
And what
First, I'm going to take a really long nap, but eventually I'll get there. I'm in New York City. I moved there 4 years ago. It's kind of become my new adopted hometown. I feel like I've grown and matured a lot there. I met a lot of interesting characters along the way, and I might do something, a book of short stories about people I met, places I've seen, unique experiences I've had there, and that might be something I'll do, when I get old, like 30 or something like that. Well, thanks so much again for coming. I think I'll be here signing books. So feel free to come on.
My kids.
Okay.
I want to take these people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah, let's do it.
You said you're in here.
In where?
The book.
One day. Well, then I gotta buy more.
Yeah, I just Yeah, I'll see I want to see the girls.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
You will.
All right.
Hi, Brad. I'm Judy.
Yeah, I know you guys. Yeah. Good to see you guys.
These are the books that Beth got from Amazon or whatever. And this, let's see. This first one is hers. If you would write in that for her, you wrote her a lovely little note that I think's already in here. But if you would sign that for her, and then the others are just for her siblings. So if you would sign it.
They're at the cross-country meet tonight.
Yes, they are. Yeah. I talked to her.
That's why there's enough room.
Yeah, I know.
I talked to her just as.